What's up, everyone? It's Gabby Trades here, and welcome back to the channel. Well, SPY hits record highs, and we got Nvidia earnings that came in yesterday. Alts are looking very good, so we're going to be looking at some potential gainers in the coming days. But before we jump in, you guys, you know what to do. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you're new here, very welcome, and also make sure to click the small bell notification so you always get notified when I'm live here with you. So, starting off with, of course, the most expected Nvidia earnings that we have. Well, basically, Nvidia delivered a blockbuster report. Here, we're going to have a look at it together. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. So, yeah, basically, we had a blockbuster report over here delivered, but the stocks dropped actually 3% in after hours tradings. So the breakdown for you guys: impressive results overall, very impressive results. As you can see over here, we had Q2 revenue 46.74 billion. That's up 56% year over year, which is pretty much exceeding expectations. Now, we had data center revenues as well, higher than ever, 41.1 billion, but slightly missed the more aggressive analyst estimates over here. Now, also, by the way, we had buyback announced. So that's an additional 60 billion stock repurchase program that's been announced as well. So that's a buyback boost. Also very good over here. And then we had, unfortunately, though, the reason I think for the drop was because we had, as you can see, China sales chips screech. So basically, they were remaining, the China exposure remains a bit murky. And if you remember, we were looking for this guidance very, very carefully. So noise training chip sales to China in Q2 and forecasts are not assuming any. So the outlook pretty much excludes the potentially meaningful revenues, and it's because the regulatory uncertainty, obviously. And despite the strong numbers that we had, you have to remember that expectations were like super high. Expectations were super high for Nvidia to do really, really well. So any number over here that is even a minor miss, it's of course going to trigger a pullback in that case. But overall, the fact that we had the Asia chip makers like Taiwan Semiconductors, you guys know very well. What else do we have? We have Samsung. They fell. And their Chinese rivals obviously were very happy and they surged in optimism. In the meantime, of course, we had SPY hitting new all-time highs. So that's the S&P 500, which is continuing to rally. So, what is that telling you? Well, that's telling you that the broad market sentiment is holding strong, and that is what we need to be mindful of. And VIX is maybe aging up a little bit. Yes, there is a little bit of anxiety. We're going to look at that. Maybe we'll open the VIX chart in a bit. But the sentiment is bullish overall, and that's what we wanted to know. And Nvidia's earning overall super great, but not perfect. Strong from the top to bottom line, but results are good. And we also have the huge buyback. However, the caution around China's uncertainty in terms of demand and like all of these regulatory hurdles is going to trigger as per usual, a negative reaction. Yes, you guys, make sure to like. We have, I don't know, I can see 32 people. I don't know how many likes we have, but make sure to smash the likes because we're going to look at the charts. And again, I'm very excited to look at the charts because yet again, we had one correct bias for this week, which was bullish. So, but you guys need to remember that Nvidia is like key in the market. So if it struggles like even a little bit, that is going to obviously ripple across the markets, overall markets and the overall market sentiment. Okay, we have 20 likes. We need at least 12 more. So like we said, Q3 outlook, very good as well. We're looking into 54 billion for Q3 over here. And but obviously investors are being cautious because of the China revenue assumptions over here, not to mention the political and economic shifts that are also influencing the mood. So, even strong financial earnings can offset the trade, right, around regulatory risks. Nvidia earnings are finally out the way. Can we resume bull market now? Yes, Cloud Chaser, absolutely. And we're gonna look at that. What are we gonna start with today? First of all, let's not forget that we also have the core PCE that's coming in on Friday. Very important. We don't have a stream on Friday, so but we're gonna be looking at that on Discord. So you guys, as usual, make sure to join Discord. You can do that. Let me come here. Show you how to do it.
Stressed?
Why do we keep getting the same ad over and over? Anyway, so you can come in the description box and you can find the link for how to join Discord down here. And obviously get on the strategy course waitlist because I'm releasing next week and you'll never get the prices that you're going to get when I do that. And obviously, if you want VIP for the Discord, you can get it by registering on Bluffin, which also covers 100% of your, sorry, why do I always say 100%? $100 of losses if you register here with that link. So okay, first of all, I want to start over here with Solana. So not that we only had Bitcoin, also Bitcoin essentially helped us develop the bullish bias this week. Which is, of course, the major coin that we're looking at for biases. So overall, I think we did quite well because, like we said, over here, we had pretty much Solana come back at the 0.5 of a price leg, and we were expecting a very bullish reaction to come outside of this price leg, which is currently happening right now. So Sol is very strong. We're almost 6% up on the day. The one thing that I want to show you here, guys, right? We were waiting very, very patiently for this to happen while the sentiment was not very great. We had this sell zone over here and we kept trading below it. Finally, today we broke above it, right? We broke above it. And I still think that Nvidia earnings in the overall market sentiment is helping for this break over here because now it's all about the alts. So over here, what are we looking at? Well, on the 4-hour time frame, we did have it up as liquidity over here, which was very good. So now we can see that that's wiped. We're exiting the range to the upside, which is really beautiful. Now, the one thing that we need to be mindful is today closing bullish and today closing above this level, which is $206 on Solana. So that's what we need to be looking out for today, because if today we close like that, then to me, in my mind, that's a clear path to at least $235 here on Solana, right? That's going to be the clear path over here. And not to mention that, of course, we know that the all-time high over here is liquidity on quite a high time frame, 4-hour time frame. So that essentially could be our last pullback over here before we get in that territory. So I want you guys to be mindful of that, right, for Solana. So this is pretty much what we were expecting for. And of course, all the zones, everything is just working out perfectly. So I hope you guys been watching the live streams and you managed to make use of all of this. Now we're going to go backwards over here. Now let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum's been a bit weaker today because there is obviously going to be some transitions happening right now. But if we're looking at Ethereum is 2.3% up on the day right now, still fine because as per my long on this entry down here, it is still looking quite nice. Now, the good thing also about ETH, which I also shared with Discord, is that now this high over here is liquidity. So 4,955 on Ethereum. Now next stop, pretty much that's what it looks like. And it's very good because that means that we're finally going to get prices explode a little bit more over here. So yes, yet again, another correct bias this week. For Bitcoin, I do want to say Bitcoin is showing strength. So yesterday we had to beat the daily resistance over here that used to be support once, now turned into resistance. We had to beat that level. It was hard to do, but eventually after hours, we finally beat that level. So now, obviously, when I'm looking on the lower time frame, it is very obvious, well, where price is trying to target, right? Over here, as you can see, you have these 3 stacked highs over here. So that is now, to me, where price wants to navigate to. But we also need to be mindful that we do have balanced price action that's taking place over here. over in this area. So we do have to be mindful that this area is also a potential area for price to bounce for. But in my opinion, even if it bounces from here, it should be holding to some extent. So then we can see Bitcoin trades to at least 119. Hopefully by the end of this month, I really want to see that. So yeah, we have a Friday today and then Monday part of this month. But as you guys know, the next month for us is going to start a little bit later. So that essentially means we're going to be looking at September from 8th of September rather than anywhere before that. So it's going to be very interesting how that plays out. But for now, price needs to come up, in my opinion. So let's see if we're gonna get a pullback over here, maybe retest the level again, and then I want to see price send it to 119,287 over here for Bitcoin. So that's what I'm looking out for. Now, if we open over here and start looking at the altcoins. So let's have a look, you guys. By the way, welcome everyone to everyone new here. Maybe we don't know each other, but we're gonna get to know each other. I can't wait for that. But you guys, as you can see, Anna, for example, we know maybe it's not trading. It's actually up 4.5% on the day, which is probably one of the biggest gainers up there for today. So Anna over here, like we said, we were expecting for price to stay within this buy zone down here and react, so we can get price moving higher over here. So we can see that happening. Which is very, very great. Now, in terms of liquidity, there is not much happening over here, but it's important that the bias is working out. So now we're going to be looking for that to take off. So Anna needs to take off. Let's have a look higher time frame. What can we expect over here? So the massive resistance over here on Anna is at 0.8475. So obviously that level over here needs to be broken over here. So what else can we look at? Should we look at ADA? Well, yeah, okay, we can look at ADA, whatever. So yeah, this high over here is liquidity on a higher time frame as well. So potentially that's where we need to get to. ADA has been a bit slow, but again, it's coming from our breaker block buy zone over here. So I'm positive in regards to this alt as well. XRP a little bit deeper through our daily support over here, but still in a daily support. So I'm still positive for XRP as well to come up from here. So we're gonna run. I want to run through them because there is a lot over here that we wanna look at. H bar again, very ideal for me over here. Any entry around the 0.5, very ideal, because we need to come and clear the liquidity at 0.4 on H bar. So you guys, everything is looking good for now. We just need to keep it as it is. Near over here. Let's have a look at near 12-hour time frame. So yeah, near on 12-hour time frame is looking also fine within a buy zone over here. Now, if we look at the daily, I think I just had a quick view over here. So daily is higher than 12-hourly, so we do have liquidity down here. So if it happens so that we come down and take that liquidity, I think it's going to be very, very good to look for entries on near. In case we have a drop over here, we need to be mindful of the liquidity on near at 2.3. As far as the 12-hour time frame, that allows it. It does allow it for a drop over here. So potentially if that happens, lots of resistance over here. So if it turns back and clears this area, we should wick that area and then come up here and take that liquidity if that happens, right? So entries for near good as of now, in my opinion, in a buy zone at around 2.5, whatever. But if it happens to drop, then we're looking to clear that liquidity around 2.3 and then re-enter to grab the liquidity at $3 for near. Pepe, one of my favorites. Pepe, one of my favorites, also looks good. Was it on weekly? Let's have a look over here. In a buy zone, in a major resistance zone, a support slash resistance, SR flip, whatever you want to call it. Pepe on a daily time frame, again, very, very beautiful levels. Now, what we need to remember is, yes, we are in a buy zone. So essentially, very good bet for me over here. Very good bet for me on Pepe to try and catch this recent daily high over here. And then in case of any drops, as usual, you guys need to remember that this entire zone over here is a potentiality for price to play about with. So if we get any drops down here, I think this area for Pepe, if you want to make a screenshot or whatever you guys do, it's also a valuable area to start DCAing or just look for entries on a lower time frame in case of a drop. But the good thing is that the daily time frame gives liquidity, and not only that, we also have above on Pepe, so I'm looking for Pepe to start running very, very soon. So that's going to be zeros 21916, also liquidity for Pepe here on the daily. Was I looking at Phil as well? Yeah, Phil also gives a lot of liquidity to the upside. I just want to run with all the outs here with you guys that I'm keeping my eye on here. For Phil is looking good, to be fair, even from now, but like in case we get massive drops from over here, the support, again, as per the formation over here, needs to happen within this level for Phil in order to come and grab that liquidity, right? Because this is how these liquidities work. If you don't have the indicators, get them in the description box. You can find the link for that. Yes, you have to pay something because Lux Algo developed them and they have to be paid for what they did, which is great work. So yeah, so over here, it's good, right? And if we start getting any pullbacks or whatever, this area between 1.9 and 2.2 on Phil needs to hold in order to grab this liquidity and then proceed to grab this liquidity as well at 3.2, which essentially from now is getting us to 30% and 41%. And if we're lucky to get a pullback, that could potentially go up to like 60-65%. Now, one thing I am looking out for is DOT as well. You guys know Polkadot. I've been watching very carefully over here. So if the indicators load, we can clearly see that we have double liquidity formation here on the daily. I did note that. So there is still a possibility that the alts are going to pull back at some point, but having these double liquidity formations and these singular liquidity formations on the daily time frame, on the 12-hour time frame, this is showcasing us that price needs to hold these areas in order to grab these liquidations. So over here, obviously, we need to be mindful of the two scenarios that are possible. Scenario number one, we come clear this liquidity and maybe we drop down and clear that liquidity. Scenario number two, we play about over here within this range. We clear the range to the downside and then distribute to the upside over here for Polkadot as well. Doge as well, another coin that I'm looking very, very closely. Again, within a buy zone. So that's the one thing that we need to be mindful of, right? Because all the altcoins are currently sort of ranging right now. So if you're getting that ranging structure, we need to, there's two things we can do. If we're very, very bullish, we position ourselves at the low of the range as per strategy suggesting. Position ourselves at the low of the range to expect for price to break the range to the upside. The second thing you can do if you're not extremely bullish right now is to wait for price to mitigate below the range, clear all the lows of the range, and then distribute to the upside. So this is literally the two options that you can do over here. Let's have a look at render, just trying to run through all of them over here. Now, Render is a coin that looks very, very good. Overall liquidity on the $12 here daily time frame. It's looking very, very juicy. So for us, yet again, what can we see over here? We're seeing the range, right? We're seeing a mini range formation over here. So then looking at this price range, what are you seeing also? You're seeing daily support just below it. So you need to be mindful, either positioning at the low of the range or either waiting for the range to clear, retest the daily support, and then distribute to the upside. But again, it's even, you know, if you're like not one of those traders that is super aggressive, there is still time to wait for structures to break in order for you to get more confidence over here on breaking. So there is absolutely no reason to FOMO whatsoever. This stream is developing to become the best live stream in the recent past. Really? Why is that, Black Swan? How is that? Is it because I go through like many outs like very, very fast? That's because I know that if I start going through all of them, we're gonna have to be here for like a lot of time. Insights and strategy, really? Like, this is super basic stuff that I just said right now. Like, this is so basic. But the thing is, yesterday, like, I was talking to a friend, and then we were like playing around, and he's like, oh my god, yeah, this for value gap and that. And I was like, oh wow, that sounded really good, but the concepts are so simple. Like, I want to give something more, you know, complicated, of more value to the viewers. And then we came up to the conclusion that even the simple stuff can help you a lot. But I tend to forget that some of you guys are beginners, if you know what I mean. Someone said we need to look at world. Oops, we have one here. Maybe I've charted that before. Let's have a look. Yeah, so world is pretty much looking like polka dots at the moment. So it's pretty much looking like polka dot over here. So we've established this this range that we're currently in. We've taken liquidity high up. We've made a new low. So unfortunately for world, the range is bearish, right? So we're in a bearish range right now. We're in a bearish range. So in order for us to have some confidence in this, we need to see some targets, but we're not seeing anything. What we're seeing instead is a very similar situation to dot over here, which is the double liquidity formation. So, you know, ideally you would want for the lower parts of this liquidity to be swept before looking for the high up, because if you don't sweep the lower, that is going to potentially indicate, it might be an indication that when we sweep the up liquidity, we might see price come down again. So not very pretty. So for this, ideally, you want to see the lows taken out first. But having look at the current range and the current resistance, yeah, I don't know if this can do more than 3.4 over here. Let's have a look on the 12-hour if we have anything. No, 12-hour is giving nothing. Maybe this target over here, actually on the 12-hour. So this could be potentiality over here. So $5, maybe 5.1, 5.2 max. If we're lucky, because there is liquidity, so you can potentially hold. I would potentially hold a little bit, but the majority of the position at 2.5, I think I'd be exiting. That's like one of the ways I can look at this. Yeah, we can do ICP, mate, no problem at all. Let me just ICP. Oof. Yeah, I mean, hard. Very hard over here. Very hard. 12-hour liquidity not cleared, price trading around it. I don't like that. I don't like that. Daily time frame, double liquidity. So this is pretty much confirming that this low has to go eventually. So again, when you look at the charts, you have to look at all the alts and consider the possibilities that could happen over here. And this is clearly showcasing us that even if alts start running, there is a big chance that we're gonna get another sweep of our current buy positions before an explosion to the upside. So the way I can read this is that it is potential that September could be a down month. So we need to be very careful of that. Obviously, we have techniques to figure that out. So we need to be watching for 8th of September and how this develops, right? The opens of the months and the weeks, so we can develop a bias over here. Also, all in all, we need to assess the structure of Bitcoin and see how that looks in general. How did you learn to look at charts? Many ways, actually. So basically, these indicators and the strategies that I tell you are a combination of what I use and what I've learned from my mentors. So yeah, just a lot of years of work and like practicing and losing lots of money in the market, which I always call is like you paying a tuition fee to the markets. As funny as that sounds. But yeah, I want to give you this outlook over here. So you need to be mindful that we might come down and take this. Now let's assess the alts that are giving us this potential over here, because that's important. That's a 15% drop on ICP over here, which is currently 0.8% up on the day. And then what else did we have? DOT. Was that a weekly or daily for DOT? I don't remember. Daily. 13.6. Okay, so that kind of matches. What else did we look at, you guys? Do you remember? Where else did we have the double liquidity formation to the downside as well? Can you remind me? Yes, do you remember? So we looked at ICP. Was it World? Yes, it was. So over here, that is giving us 18. That's quite a bit. Quite a bit. So yeah, we have to be very mindful. But anyway, we're going to be trading day by day over here. Listen, in actuality, it is possible that price just smashes through the high and doesn't take the low. It's not that it doesn't happen. It does happen a lot. So it's not that it needs to happen for 100%. But this is the preferred course of action, right? The preferred course of action is that we take the low and then we go for the high. That is going to be a bit more secure, in my opinion. Anything else is going to be a bit more risky. But overall, I'm totally fine, right? I'm totally fine to start betting right now. And if stuff starts going south, it's going to be okay. Like, I don't care. My ETH long is protected over here, so I don't mind really. But if we go back to Ethereum over here and we try to assess, right? What do we say? We said the standard deviation needs to go where? Can go up to around 3.9. So how much would that be? Yeah, it could be around 14% drop over here. So yeah, it's absolutely possible. 14% drop on Ethereum is going to bring the other alts to where we want them to, if it happens. Like, I don't know. For this week, the bias has been bullish, right? The bias has been bullish for Bitcoin since the end day on Monday, you guys, over here. Right? Since the end day on Monday, soon as price started trading below over here, the bias was confirmed for the rest of the week. So yeah. Yes, Wizard, thank you for the charts. Yeah, Wiz has been really helpful on Discord lately. You guys, if you are not on Discord, make sure to join. You can do that in the description box of this video. You can find it very easily down here, the link. And I don't know how many likes we have, but we need to have at least 38 likes right now on this video. And I'm gonna remove this unsettling picture. But yeah, that's it for today, you guys. This is what we have. There is nothing else to talk about. We reviewed a lot of alts, and we're hoping for them to start running with very, very mindful idea that it is very possible that we get a pullback potentially here. But most importantly, I'm looking for Bitcoin to come and retest the true month open at 119,287. I really would really want to see that happening into the end of the week, coming into Monday. I think that would be very, very good. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you guys on Discord. As you know, this is where we're going to be. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, everyone.